and welcome back here. In this video, what we're going to be doing is converting the outside of this front door here from simply white to real red, and the real red is a Sherwin-Williams color here. Okay, and the door is simply white, so we're putting the real red on top of the simply white, which is going to be difficult here. And the paint that we're going to be using is by Sherwin-Williams. It's called Emerald, and this is a satin sheen. And again, this is a urethane trim enamel, and this is Sherwin-Williams' most expensive paint here. So we're going to see how this is going to cover here. And the color, again, is a red. And it's almost like a fire engine red, so it's a bright red. It's not one of the deeper reds like the burgundy, where it has the darker undertone base to it, or the gray base tone to it. Okay. So we'll put this over here. So to start with the prep work here, I have a sanding pad here. Okay, and it's made by 3M, and the grit is fine here. So what we want to do is we want to scratch up the surface of this satin sheen here. Okay, so it'll provide some tooth for the paint to stick to. Just so you don't forget any of the surface, just do the outside first. And you want to make sure that you scratch the entire surface here. And one way to tell is to look down the side of the door here to see if indeed you scratch up or scuff up the sheen. Okay, so that takes care of the outside. Now we'll come to the inside here. And these sanding pads are great because it can conform to the curvature of the inside of the paints here. And again, you can use these for a drywall or sanding down trim. And all you have to do is just a light sand. You're not trying to dig through the paint here. Okay, so just enough to scuff up the satin sheen. Okay, so that is my sanding. Now we're going to use a dust brush to just dust away any of the dust that was incurred by the sanding here. There's not much, but you can see it. And just again, start, I'll do the insides first, get in the corners, and do the outside last. Okay, so always have a dust brush on hand to get rid of any dust there. And then lastly, what I always like to do is I like to use a liquid deglosser here. So this is going to further cut the sheen of the satin sheen that was applied to the door here of the previous paint job. And again, this is the liquid sandpaper, and this is great to degloss the surface and also cleans the surface. It gets rid of any dust, dirt, grime, grease, dust. Okay, and it cuts the sheen. And when you cut the sheen, your top coat is going to stick or bind better to it. Okay, so this only takes a minute to do. So don't exclude this step right here. Because you always want to paint on top of a clean, dust-free or grease-free surface. Okay, now this is a very hot day here, so this is going to dry fast. Okay, so we're going to give this just a few minutes to dry out, and then we'll be back to apply the Sherwin-Williams Real Red, which is a bright red. Okay, so we'll see you in a few. Okay, so welcome back here. We've given the deglosser about 10 minutes here, and it's all dry here. So again, we're going to be using this paint. It's called Emerald, and it's made by Sherwin-Williams, and this is their most expensive trim paint. This is an interior or an exterior paint, and this stuff it covers great, and it dries to a hard film. So again, this is the color here. Okay, and you can see, and most of these reds here, they're basically clear. Okay, so you can see how it just comes right off the inside of the paint lid here. So don't be fooled, like when you look in the gown, you think that it's all red. It's basically a translucent paint here. Okay, you can see how you can just basically see like right through it. Okay. So we're gonna start. I'm gonna just start up here to show you guys. And you can just see how the white just shows right through it there. Okay, so this is not going to work. Even if we try to do like 2 or 3 coats of this, it's not gonna cover. And we're never going to be able to get the base, so we're going to need to find a primer first that's going to go over this, so that when we apply this paint is going to be able to stick. We're not going to be able to see the white that is peering through here. So I'm going to go get a primer, and then we'll be back, and I'll show you how to properly prime this door so that we can achieve this color here. And again, the color is Real Red by Sherwin-Williams. So we'll be back in a flash. Okay, so we've given this paint here that I applied approximately a half hour to dry out. And as you can see, the white just shows right through it. Okay. Okay, so we're back here. I went back down to the paint store and got a primer here and had them tint it towards the top coat, which is the Real Red here. Okay, so this is a primer by Sherwin-Williams, and it's the multi-purpose. It's a latex primer, and it's interior and exterior here. Okay, so this is the color of the primer here. And that's again. Okay, so this is the color of the primer on my left or your right, and this is the top coat. This is the Real Red, and this is the primer here. So you can see the contrast here. The primer is lighter than the top coat, and that's what you want in this case, because this is a red that you can't prime it gray first. So we'll put that back there. And I took some pictures of if you prime first with gray, or if you do 2 coats of this and then apply that, then you'll be able to see it. Okay, so So again, the real red it's a real bright red. It's like a fire engine red. And again, you can't prime gray first, because once you prime gray, the undertone is too dark, and the top coat will never look so bright and red. Okay, it'll look dark red, like a burgundy, like the classic burgundy. Okay, so we're gonna start to prime it here. And again, I'm using my Corona Excalibur Chinex brush, and it's 1.5 inches here. And I'm going to use my roller here to distribute the paint, to take away the brush strokes here. Okay, and I pre-wet this, and I wet it down with cold water, and then I spin out all the water so that there's just like a little bit of water left inside, so that when I go to load, it'll load right up, and then when I go to clean up, it'll clean up. Okay, because the primer will never have a chance to dry onto the surface of the microfiber here. Okay. So as you can see, I have the primer in my bucket here. And I'm going to load up the side of it too, okay? Because the side of it is what transfers the paint to the edges here. Okay, so let's come in the corner here. Okay, so that's going to take care of that there. Now I'm going to use my brush. I'm going to load up here, tap it to either side here, and get in the corners. And when you're using the roller here, you don't really have to be careful with the paint. You just slop it on. Not so it's that thick, but just so it covers here. Okay, just make sure you get it in the corners. I'll look over here and see if I get in the corners over here. That looks good. Now, I'll use the roller here. To take away all the brush strokes and to even out the paint. Up the sides. Okay, and you can already tell that we still see the white. Okay, so we're going to definitely need to do 2 coats of this primer to cancel out the white, because the white will constantly show through the red here. Okay, so that's done there. Come up to the top, get rid of the paint in the middle of the door there, in the middle like that. Okay, and now roll it. Okay, so that takes care of that there. I'll load that back up, come to the corners. Really spread the paint as much as possible. Okay, we'll come back to the brush, work it in the corner, pull down. Okay, so that looks good there. I'll load back up here. load back up with the brush, hit the corners. So again, don't try to make it look too perfect with the brush because we're going to use the roller to take away the brush strokes and to level or even out the paint. Okay, so I'll look again in the corners here to make sure I hit everything. That looks good there, it looks good there. Now I'll roll back up the roller, come in the middle, and work the paint to the outside. And get the top. Take away the brush strokes there, take away the brush strokes there. Put the paint in the middle and then work it to the outside. And again, these microfiber, these rollers, they leave a real nice, like spray-like finish, and it levels out nice, and it doesn't have a lot of nap to it. And into the corners. Okay, I'll check my work here. A little bit down here in the corners I missed. Takes care of that. A little back up. Start in the middle. Okay, go up, down, up, down, up, down. Hit the sides. And go up, down, up, down. Up here, take away the brush strokes here. Bring this down. Back up. And again, these microfiber, this roller here, it's great because it can really spread a lot of paint quick, and it doesn't splatter that much either. And you can tell by looking at the X-board that I have down at the bottom that's protecting the floor here. There's literally no paint on the X-board. So load back up, start in the middle, and slowly work to the outside. Okay, once I have it like that, then I'll come up to the top, bottom. So when I'm doing this, I'm hitting the insides of the panels here. Okay, we'll take away these brush strokes here that I just did. Hit the sides. Okay, take away these brush strokes. Go up, down. And lastly, do the bottom. And just put the paint in the middle and work it back and forth. And then slowly come up to the top. Okay, so that's going to take care of that there. So as you can see, I'll bring the camera a little bit closer so you can take a look. It definitely didn't cover 100%, so we're definitely going to have to do a second coat of this red to cancel out the white, to ensure that the white doesn't show through our top coat. And we have to establish the base of the real red, and the only way to do that is to use this red and do at least two coats of this here. So we'll give this some time to dry out, and then we'll be back to apply the second coat of the primer. And this is the primer right here. It's the multi-purpose, and it was tinted towards the real red, and this primer is slightly lighter in color than the real red. Okay, because you don't want to go too dark, because then if you go too dark, then you spend a bunch of time and money with doing more and more of the top coats trying to get it lighter, which is a nightmare. So you don't want to do that. You always want it to go lighter with this red, and then get the base down, and then apply the top coat last. So we'll let this dry out, and we'll be back to apply the second coat of primer. Okay, so we'll start with this area right here.